Welcome to the Wednesday morning series of our webinar series. Dr. Eddie is here for the last Wednesday. He's going to be moving to Thursdays starting in November. So he's on this week, on the Wednesday time slot, gratefully. And he can tell you why he's moving. It's a really good, healthy boundary. So he'll share that. But I'm really excited about the topic he has to share with us today, too. So Dr. Eddie.
Well, it's good to see you again. We missed last month, so this is been a while since we've been together here, and I'm just so thrilled to be here and having our first one from our new location here on our ranch in Texas. So we're excited about that too. Um, and everyone wish Tammy a early birthday. Her birthday will be on
And
Friday.
Dr. Eddie too. We both have birthdays on Friday, so not the same year. Doesn't matter. But
Really found that out
no,
last.
I knew it. I remember it. I remembered it for last year. I don't remember how we found out, but I've
Oh,
remembered it for a couple of years.
well,
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm in
Um,
good company.
yeah, but I am moving. We are moving. We're moving to Thursday. The reason we're doing that is for the same reason that we moved out here to Texas. Our son, Dakota, is a Dallas police officer, and he's married to our wonderful daughter-in-law, Hannah. And they are in the process right now of starting to develop a family. So Wednesdays are going to be family days for us. So we want to spend time with them on Wednesdays. So we're going to do maybe a little work early in the morning, but then, try to carve out enough time to spend time with family. Because again, as I say to all of you, relationships are the most important thing that we have. So that's what that's about. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we have our new book is out right now. Came out, launched on Monday. Yeah, that's very exciting. Um, Going deeper for the betrayed partner. Discovering how inner child work can help you to heal. Um, I have to take a moment to say thank you to Tammy. Tammy has been so instrumental in this book. We passed everything through her to let her eyes look at it, to give us a sense of, input, and she just gave us amazing input. So thank you so much for what you did.
Grateful. It was exciting to be part of the process. I've been telling people about this for months. I am super excited about this particular book, but I'm grateful that you let me see the sneak peeks.
Well, the thing is that hopefully you must be telling a lot of people because it is listed among Amazon, new launches as a bestseller at this moment. So it's doing really well. And it's not so much that we're excited about that because we're selling the book, but we're more excited about the fact that we're putting a resource in the hands of people who are really hurting and are feeling rather hopeless about things. The other thing that we're very excited about is that along with Tammy, we took this book and we put it in front of dozens of our peers, who, especially those who work with the betrayed partners. And the response back we got was just tremendous, um, including ideas such as the sense that this is a missing piece in the recovery process right now, and it's something that has to be addressed. It's been there, but nobody's addressing it. So again, we're very very excited about it, and more importantly, we really hope that it's going to wind up making a difference in the lives of many who are struggling. So let me talk a little bit about the book. Again, going deeper for the betrayed uh, partner, discovering how inner child work can help healing. You know, the idea behind it is that for some who are dealing with betrayal, part of the problem that it could be that they're facing when they're trying to heal is unresolved past trauma and or neglect wounds. And what that does, if there are those wounds there, and there are many who do have them, um, what it does, it takes the problem that you're dealing with right now and it magnifies it. It makes it so much more intense. And before I go any further, I have to say this, okay? This in no way, shape, or form blames you for what's going on. Hear me and hear me loud and clearly. You are not to blame for what is going on. All right? This is just circumstances. These are facts. And therefore, to be open to that idea that, oh my gosh, my past wound could be impeding what's going on with my healing, okay, will be beneficial for you if you wind up accepting that. So I don't know, Tammy, you want to jump in, add anything to that?
What I was just thinking, I 100% agree, and I had even written, and it's also not an excuse for the addict to go, oh, it's like that's just because you have that old trauma,
Yeah.
So the framework of, yes, it's not your responsibility, and for blame shifting by an addict to or a betrayer to go, oh, it's not me, it's all that old stuff. So, but
Right.
I really appreciate the whole context of this book.
Yeah. And if you recall, we have a chapter in there, it's a brief chapter, small, and it's entitled A Note to Betrayers. And in it, we make it very clear to them that they are not to use this book as a weapon. And I even think I put in there that I'm more than willing to visit any of them and kick their butts if they do that. But they
You
are,
might be on a big road trip.
oh my God. This is not to your point, this is not an excuse for why they are not being able to move forward. Okay? Just like what the work we do with the inner child for those who are betrayed are not excuses for their behaviors. It's a rationale. It's like, oh, now I understand. Okay, I'm still stuck in this cesspool of betrayal trauma because it's being exacerbated by other pain that I have. And it's making my world like this when it should be like this. More importantly, let's get into the real details. It's taking your anxiety level and it's dramatically increasing it from where it should be right now. So now you want to wonder, you wonder like, oh my gosh, how did I act that way? Why did I act that way? Why did I say those things? Why did I do that? It's because it's almost like blinded by the hurt, the anger, the rage, whatever it may be. And it's because your anxiety level is being magnified by the past wounds. So what we're trying to do here, we want to take the present and we want to take the past and we want to separate them so that you're not dealing with this, you're dealing with that. And that's easier. That doesn't mean it's not painful. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be hurting. It doesn't mean that you still will not struggle, but the intensity should be reduced dramatically. So with all of this, and again, this is the research we've been doing for years, as well as input we've gotten from our peers and the work that they've done. What we did was we created or identified 10 inner children for the betrayed partners. Now, I sat with a group of women this weekend and who are dealing with betrayal trauma. And one of the questions they asked, and was an excellent question, was, so are these kids the same kids as the ones who have betrayed? And the answer is yes and no. There are some, there are a few, but there are many kids who are not. They're very, very different. So let me go through that list, okay, real quickly. One is the bored child, which is part of the original group, unnoticed and unaffirmed and emotionally avoided. Okay, so bored, unnoticed, unaffirmed, and emotionally voided are four. There's one other, and that is the sexually abused. So those are the five that match up. But then there's the safety-seeking child, okay? Right, this is a child who, there's this anxiousness and they're always worried something's gonna go wrong. They're, when's the next shoe gonna drop? There's the spiritually wounded child, okay, who's had those parents. There's the powerless child, the child who, grew up in an environment where they didn't really have a voice. They felt that they were micromanaged in what was going on in their life. We have the addictive parent child. They grew up in a home with a parent who struggled with their own addiction, or maybe parents who struggled with their own addiction. And then finally, there's the unwanted child, the child who just felt growing up that, what, I'm here, my parents are here, but it's like I'm not noticed, I'm not affirmed, I'm not anything. I mean, it's just, I could be gone and they wouldn't even know I was gone. So those are the children that we have identified. So what we do is we're asking, and again, the women who have gone through this with us in the past, we have them go through and to identify which children do they resonate with, which ones match up to their what they went through in their childhood. Again, the most important thing here, however, is not the children they select. It is the core emotional triggers associated with each of those children. So each of these kids have about 8 to 10 core emotional triggers that we have identified. There could be others, okay? There are hundreds of core emotional triggers that the child brings in that intensifies your anxiety, and therefore, you react in a way that later you're upset with yourself. And you know what? You shouldn't be upset with yourself in this process, but that's what happens. So therefore, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get to a place where, you know what? You feel better about yourself despite what's going on. Despite what's going on, the hell that you're going through right now, you still feel better about yourself and the way you're approaching all of this. Now, again, this is not so, that we make life easier for the betrayed partner. I mean, the betrayer. That's not what this is about. We're not doing that. What this is about ultimately is if we can bring your anxiety down and you can now grieve in a way that is healthy, there's a stronger likelihood that, number one, you're going to get into a place where you can make a good decision. And that would be, do I stay? Do I not stay? But that's when you have to start to begin with, right? Tammy, I mean, anything you'd add to that? Or?
And no, I've shared, we have some great material on should I stay or go, and I think it's just like good for journaling. You can, you can do it from rather than having it ping pong in your brain, like should I stay, should I go? It's like, you can, like you're just talking about, like I can now make a decision because I'm able to use my thinking part of my brain.
Correct. But the problem is for most, they can't make that decision. You can't because they are more emotionally driven with their thinking than they are from a rational standpoint. Again, that is not an insult, it is just fact of what's going on here with the betrayed trauma, plus add in things from the past, which are again magnifying everything. So, so what we want to do is get you to a point where one, if you make that decision, okay, so now I want to stay. So now it becomes, okay, how do we repair? So what we're trying to do is get you out of this cycle that you're in that just continues to just go on and on and on with no end in sight, no sense of hope for what the future will be, and to stop that action and instead to allow you to grieve in a healthy, productive manner that'll get you to a point where you can make a good, healthy decision for yourself. For yourself. not for your relationship, for you, and then put you on the pathway of how do you get your life back, whether it is alone or in that relationship. Now, again, I am not an advocate for divorce. I don't want people to get divorced. I would like them to heal, okay? But sometimes that's just not practical for that. But this hopefully gives some clarity along the way for what we're talking about. That's what I got for you today, Tammy.
It's so good. And for those of that are asking, the book, I put the Amazon link. We have also added it to our book list. We have an extensive book list, including your other books, on our website. We have so many resources, and we always want to point people to actually useful resources, because there's a lot of garbage out there. But this new book is posted on our website, but I put the direct Amazon link, in as well. Separately, someone was asking, will this video be posted, because my partner is unable to view it? This and all the other previously recorded webinars. And Dr. Eddie, you did one last September on Gabor Mate's You Can't Make It Unhappen. I cannot tell you how many times I've referred specifically to that, but the pain field often comes up too. So there's a wealth of information, Dr. Eddie, and all of the other webinars on our previously recorded webinars. You can also find them on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, but I gave you the easy link, for that.
We need to do more on that pain field. I'm actually going to be presenting at the SASH conference next week in Dallas on the pain field. And so people are like, the pain field? What's the pain? And I was going through the presentation last night, and I was making adjustments and stuff. And I'm like, my God, this is strong. This is really strong stuff. People need to understand what that is. So we may need to go back and revisit that this year.
I would welcome that, because there's a lot more to unpack. It was very good, and then there's more. But that actually, I hear people using that. They'll call in and they'll use that term, and so I'm like, oh, I know where you heard that. So it's good. And you know what? You could probably do your next book on the pain field. So just saying. So.
Oh, Tammy, I'm done with books. Okay, I'm done. Somebody just
No, you're not.
somebody told me I just need to turn up my volume a little bit. They can barely hear me. So I hope that maybe that works better. I think I'm talking very softly today.
You're talking softly, and you don't have the background with all the books, so it sounds a little more hollow, because
And
you're not.
I have like, 15, 20, 18-foot ceiling. So everything,
Yes.
right.
To me, that it was more situational, because I can hear you fine. I've got my AirPods in, and I can hear you fine. So, but anyway, okay. So I put the videos in. I put where you can find the book. We're talking about future webinars, but let's go to questions.
Yeah.
So the betrayed here, 4 months since discovery. Both my partner and I have therapeutic separation, an APSAT and a CSAT. How do you get through and accept that addicts lie in general, and sometimes about their partners, including in therapy and in recovery groups? It feels like additional betrayals when when what he says creates impressions of me that aren't true and open to negative interpretation. I worry he won't be able to get helpful and healthy feedback from peers and therapists. This is so common. So I thank you for asking this question. Like, you're right. So, yeah.
So jump in, Tammy.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a process, and I love that you're here, and you're 4 months since discovery. So you guys are really super early in the process, but I also hear you're doing the right stuff. I think it's really important for partners to know your truth, like your truth. And if someone is saying untruthful things about you, that's on them, and also for cleanup with them. And yes, good therapists are going to be poking around and going, if I call your partner right now, is that, what I'm going to hear from your partner? Same with sponsors. Like people come to our residential treatment program, and all the partners are going like, well, he lies about, and we go, yes, he does. And we know that. And so it's the work, and it takes time. And it's why recovery is a journey. And at 4 months, It's very different than at 2 or 3 years, when someone's really incorporating truthfulness. I mean, I love that our company is called Seeking Integrity. I strive for that personally. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. And I also know how to clean up. If I say something that is not quite right, I'm quick to clean it up because I don't like that in my gut. Now, I'm an addict. I lied all the time to myself and everyone else. So this is a complete transformation, but it didn't happen in the first 4 months. But I think for you, uh, get your tribe of people so that you're taking care of you. And if you hear an outright lie, it's okay to have that. What you're saying is not truthful, and it's going to keep me distanced from you because you're not building trust with me. So, but the real professionals actually can see through all that,
Yeah.
stuff. So
You can't, whatever you say, that does not define you and who you are. Um,
yes,
but the other aspect of it, and Tammy nailed it, is that this is so early and he has a lot of growing up to do, okay? Emotionally underdeveloped, okay? And so what he's doing is he's looking for people that give him sympathy, all right? He's looking for that understanding. He wants a pat on the back. Oh, you're doing okay. Oh, poor you. Yes. And you know what? As he grows up and starts to understand, wow, you know what? No, I'm the problem. Okay? I'm the problem here. Once he does that, then a lot of this should start to fade away. And therefore he is more, you gotta remember there's some denial still going on here too with him. Right? And once he gets out of that denial and it gets into the acceptance area, okay, I accept this. This is it. This is what it is. This is the mess I've made, and it's all my mess, and let me clean it up. Then, like I said, you'll see a lot of this start to fade out. Now, if it doesn't fade out as time goes on, well, then we have other issues that we're dealing with here, including maybe there's some sort of personality disorder that we have to address at some point. But for now, I mean, at this point in time, 4 months in, stay in your lane. Do what you need to do for yourself. Okay. As Tammy said, be surrounded by your tribe. Okay. Because you have a lot of healing you need to do. You have a lot of questions that still need to be resolved. My guess is you guys haven't even gotten to your disclosure and stuff yet. So there's a long way to go, unfortunately, with it. But again, just one day at a time. Take it one day at a time.
and I will take healthy boundaries, like you don't have to accept unacceptable behavior, but it isn't also running around and saying, well, you said this to at some point it's just like, this person is not safe if they're, telling lies about me. And when Dr. Eddie said denial is, I start with lying to myself. Denial is absolute. So that's where it starts. And then I can lie to everyone else. And so, but I promise you, for those of us that are willing to do the work, we can change. We can become people of integrity. So don't give up hope, but also healthy boundaries for you is watch the actions,
Right.
including, the lies that are coming out of the lips. So
Okay.
next one, Dr. Eddie, is um, my husband has been through my husband has been through 2 treatment programs, including SILA, and taken your inner child course recently. He identifies with all the inner children that are in your book, but most identifies with the unwanted child. And he put together a spreadsheet with all of them. There wasn't much progress, if any, to be honest, until he was about halfway through your course. At that point, I saw something click in him and his behaviors. He was opening up, communicating his thoughts and feelings, being vulnerable and honest, and supporting me in my pain and triggers. It was amazing and wonderful, and I actually felt hope. It lasted about 10 days, and slowly his behavior changed back to normal gaslighting, blame shifting. And he said my behavior was what was causing his inner child to take over and be in the driver's seat. I identify with the unnoticed child. My question is, how do we and can we come together as a couple to move forward? Is this even possible?
It's not going to be, you can't move forward if you get to continue to slip back into that inwardly focused behavior. And again, that's what you're describing here, that he starts to change and saying, oh, you're causing my kid to come out. So could you be triggering his child? Yes, you can, but he needs to be in control of his kid. That's not the point. Yes, his kid gets triggered by things. All right, but the key for him is not, oh, I blame you. That means you need to change and you need to stop. No, I have to talk to my child and let my child understand, because the, let me step back. You do trigger him. That's just a fact. You trigger him. But what's happening, what's making it problematic, is that his child is bringing in someone else who used to trigger him that way. And therefore, once again, he's magnifying the problem. If he was just looking at what you were doing, he'd be able to manage it. Say, okay, she's hurt, she's upset. I need to be here to support her in his pain. Because the child is increasing his anxiousness, he becomes blind to your pain, and it becomes all about him. So see, that's where the problem is. The problem is he's not managing the child. So whoever it is that enters the room at that time, mom, dad, uncle, whatever, whoever it is, you've got to kick him out so that he's only working with you. And when working with you, his anxiety would come down and he would not be blame shifting. He would not be gaslighting. Instead, he'd go back to, again, the idea that, oh, I need to be there for her. So he's going to have to go back over those materials again. He's going to need to be able to sit with his therapist and talk about the fact that, you know what, I'm allowing myself to, again, not. Remember a couple months ago, I went through, and what I talked to you about was the idea of stimulus response, okay? Event reaction. He's like this. He has no space between what happens if he gets triggered and his response. If you have space, oh, that helps me put my kid to the side and I can focus on you. He has no space right now, or very limited space. So therefore, it's trigger, response, trigger, response. And he's just acting again based on raw emotion and no rational thinking. So he, the therapist, has to look at how do we create more space. Slow everything down. Something comes at him. And again, I give the analogy that somebody gave me about the gas grill. You light the gas grill, the flame goes, oh, but then it settles down. Okay, respond. That's what needs to be happening. And that's what he and his therapist have to work on, developing that additional space so that, again, he can quiet his inner child and he can work with you appropriately. So he has the skills. He showed that to you. That's the positive thing. That's the positive thing that's here. That it was working. Short time, but it was working. So he can do this. He's lost focus right now. He's lost focus and he has to regain that.
Yeah, I was thinking, like if triggers to me are absolutely just data. It is not somebody else's, responsibility to change everything they do and say. I mean, there can be people who are intentionally poking. That's a whole different situation, but it still is it is data for me to choose. And what you're saying about slowing everything down, yeah. I mean, he's letting his, 6 or 7-year-old show up, in an adult world, and at some point it's like, if he keeps showing up as, you're married to a 7-year-old, I mean, that's what he's showing up as, and how
Right.
unfortunate for him and you, so I honor that you are taking care of you. And but for him, it's like, I I'm thinking I wonder about having a picture of a 7-year-old on the fridge and going, oh hi, that's who I'm talking to right now. I mean, like it's sad, but in recovery we grow up. Like this is how we grow up, is we learn to do things differently. We don't let our kids run the show. Like, have you ever been to an
But
elementary school and watched the chaos on the playground? That's what's happening, is the chaos on the playground.
he is breaking one of my rules, and that is he's allowing his inner child to talk to you. Carla, tell him Dr. Capparucci says he can do better. He can do better. You need to go back and look at some of those materials again. Again, work with his therapist so that he can expand that window. Okay.
So then the next question, and I just posted, so Kristen Snowden did Should I Stay or Go in May, and it's posted on the previous 3 videos. Separately, I will share a couple more. Debbie Allen had 2 partners. One chose to stay, one chose to leave. Deborah Doak did, a kind of mediation. If you're going to stay, do it, with integrity. If you're going to go, make sure you're doing it again with integrity. So she had that. And then separately, October 30th, we have a special webinar by Stuart Leviton, our COO, who is also an attorney, and he's just going to talk about some legal aspects. So it's just framework. And again, we have zero, like this is always everybody's decision. There's zero judgment on, if you stay or go. We just want you to make sure you're doing it from a place of thoughtful consideration. If you do stay or go, rather than a reaction like Dr. Eddie was talking about. So,
But, it's really sad, and I'm sure you see this quite often, Tammy, is that a lot of these women are feeling pressured from other people outside about whether they should be leaving or staying. And you know what? You really have to learn how to block that out. You got to block.
yes. And I did share so somebody was asking, and I thought I shared the previously recorded webinar. So apparently it's always on there. I just shared it again. Um, so somebody is like, I'm going to be reading this for my personal growth. Great. And then it's about the link. So I fixed that. Okay.
Right.
I just had a heart attack a week ago after living with my husband's betrayal confession 3 years ago. He has never done the work. Now, rather than care for me, he is moving out. I am betrayed all over again. Oh,
My heart breaks for you. I cannot believe how callous he is acting. That is just, well, first and foremost, one, I hope you're getting all the care you do need. I hope you are getting that. I hope you have wonderful medical professionals that will help you here. And then, you know what? Let him go. You don't need him. He's done nothing but create havoc in your life. And you deserve so much more. And you can get that. You can get that. But right now you have to heal. You have to physically heal. So focus on you. Focus on what you need, what the doctors are telling you to do, your other healthcare professional. Focus on that. You know what? Let him be gone. Just let him be gone. Again, I'm really sorry for that.
yeah. And you are not alone. Like I hear often, and I'm sure you do too, Dr. Eddie, about physical manifestations of the trauma, like including some major medical conditions. So living in the constant trauma for the past 3 years, I can only imagine how devastating health-wise that was for you. So I posted the Moving On Alone drop-in group. We have others, but that particular one is for partners who have been left,
Right.
are leaving or have left. So the focus is not about restoring, any kind of relationship. It is really about what you need to do to take care of you. One more thing separately, if you haven't already done it, the Betrayed Partner Work Group, there was one that started last week, Wednesday. I've added multiple women to that particular group of Betrayed Partners. It's for men or women, but it's usually women. And we'll offer it again November 20th. But if you wanted to join that work group, you can email me, Tammy, TAMI, at seekingintegrity.com, and I can help you, get in that. But support for you 100% all the way around.
The people don't realize in many cases that the amount of anxiety being produced in these circumstances, also producing an abundance of cortisol, which is a neurotransmitter, which when produced in its normal allotment, it's very healthy for us. It actually reduces inflammation and it's responsible for our movement, things like this. But when it's produced in large quantities, it actually promotes inflammation. Inflammation, if you don't know it or not, destroys cells. Okay, it's just as bad as cancer. So again, if you have this running through your body on a consistent basis for a long period of time, you are going to you're going to have a risk of developing chronic conditions, including things such as heart disease along the way.
Well, and you mentioned, cancer, and our daughter's friend does cancer research, and she has talked about how inflammation, which what you're talking about with the cortisol is, can be a precursor, for cancer. So there is nothing good about having it as a constant chronic situation. So which is why we talk about, even in the chaos of all of this, for partners, learning to regulate, and take care of your physical body, gives you the opportunity to address emotional calmness and all of those things, because you can't change this other person. You talked about, Dr. Eddie, the person going like, I am the problem. In one of my recovery or my meditation books, the person is a person in recovery, and she writes about, the bad news is I am the problem. The good news is I am the problem, because if I am the problem, if my behaviors have been an issue, I can work on changing those. If everything is external to me, I can't change anybody else. So at some point, for us as people who have struggled with problematic behaviors, if we take ownership of those things and go, okay, I'm going to learn to do things different, rather than showing up as a 7-year-old, I can learn to do things different. And we are proof you can have a really good life. You can show up with integrity and have connections that are real and meaningful. I honored when Dr. Eddie was like, I'm going to have family time for Wednesdays. I didn't even push back. I was like, okay, can we do another day? I wasn't going to go, oh, but you're so important. I really valued the time with him, but his well-being, his connections with his family, that is why we're here on this planet, is to have those, meaningful connections. So how would I ever be able to go, no guilt trips for you. So.
But I'll say this, just the final comment on this one is that for those of you who are going through the betrayal trauma, we understand, yes, emotionally and mentally, it is very trying, but you need to break away from it in order to find time to care for yourself. You have to find that time, because you know what? Yes, it's a relationship. It has been torched, but it's not your complete life. A relationship is not your complete life. There's more. There's more to life. And you have to start to understand that and realize it, and not to be held captive by it. So.
Yes, and I mentioned earlier what has Dr. Eddie's webinar from September of last year. He quoted Dr. Gabor Mate, who says this is the paraphrasing. What has happened, you can't have unhappen, but how you choose to move forward with it. You can choose every day to be re-traumatized, or you can go, I'm not going to. I'm owning this, and I'm going to move forward in a different path that is healing for me, regardless of what has happened.
Right, and that doesn't mean that it won't still bother you. Okay, and
Exactly.
what we're trying to do is take the intensity down so that you can go and do other things with your life.
Hmm.
That's what this is all about. That is what we've been talking about.
Okay, so the next one, and there's a couple pieces to this. So I am 6 months
Okay.
into a separation, 5 months after discovery. My spouse wants a divorce and blame me for everything at the beginning. I had suspicions of her betrayal for 2 years at least, and as early as 6 years ago. We have been together 18 years, married 15. We have been in therapy since January, and I'm ready to own my side of the street. 4 times we planned, and she canceled a meeting for us to talk and for me to render my apology. We have 4 kids. I cannot stop ruminating. What can I do? And he adds, is there, and this is a male betrayed partner and female betrayer, is there a framework benchmark for betrayed men?
Yeah. Um, the framework, okay, the framework is the same as it is for betrayed woman. If you're looking at that. Um, so let me just go through this again real fast. So you've had your suspicion for like the last two years, but as early as 6 years ago. All right, you've been together 18, you've been married for 15. Again, you got 4 children. I can imagine they're not all that very old. So I mean, you got some young kids mixed in along there. Um, so what can you do? Well, I guess the question becomes, what is it that you're trying what do you want to accomplish? I mean, if you're trying to maintain the relationship, you have not put anything in here that says that she is also of that mindset, right? If that's what you're trying to do, if it's like, I want to hold on to my marriage, okay, there's nothing here I see that indicates that she feels the same. That's a problem. All right. Because you got one person who wants to move forward. You have another person who maybe she already had one foot out the door. She said she wants a divorce. Okay. She's blaming you for everything. And my guess is a lot of what she's blaming for you is you didn't pay me enough attention for me. You probably worked too long, all whatever. But you still didn't give her the right to go do what she did. Okay. It's not an excuse for what it is. You right now, your focus should be in 2 areas. One, your own healing. Okay, so it means make sure that you're involved with groups and you have a really good therapist that's going to walk you through and help you with that grieving process. And to your kids, to make sure that you have enough bandwidth that they don't become secondary. I've seen this play out before, and it's tragic that the person who's been betrayed, their focus becomes so much on what am I going to do about this relationship? How are we going to get this relationship? That the kids fall to the wayside. And we can't have that. You cannot have that. You need to make sure you are investing. You continue to invest in your children and invest in you. You have to wait for her to determine whether or not she even wants to be invested in. So therefore, if you're trying to keep your arms wrapped around your family, your children like this, and we heal together, if you're trying to reach one hand out here to hold and pull her in, guess what? You've let go of the nucleus. And now you run the risk of one of the kids getting lost. You don't want your kids to get lost. So again, you focus on your healing, focus on them, nurturing them, feeding them, investing in them. Her, it'll be whatever she ultimately wants it to be.
And I say this often with a female partner too. It's like they're like, he wants a divorce, and I'm like, why does the betrayer get to have all of the control in this? What is it you want? And so, like waiting for them to decide if they want to get a divorce. I'm like, well, what? Like then you are always at the whim of someone else. I did mention Kristen Snowden's webinar from May, and it has last I knew it had like thousands of watches. But I point to that because there were 10 questions to journal about. Like, again, we're not telling you what to do or not do, but like, do you even like this person? She had choices. She didn't have to betray you. She could have gone, I'm feeling
That's
lonely,
right.
so this is, there's nothing you did or didn't do, and we say this to partners all the time, that made someone else betray you. They chose to do that. So you apologizing to her rather than her coming and going, hey, I own that I cheated, I was unfaithful, I'm working on doing something different, because otherwise you guys can get back together again and she can keep cheating. So unless until she becomes a person who's trustworthy and safe, then it's causing chaos again, like Dr. Eddie said, for your 4 kiddos too. So what do
Yeah.
you want to model for your kiddos?
Yeah, and don't misunderstand me that I'm saying, oh well, if she wants divorce, just go give her the divorce. No, you don't have to do that. You just say, I'm not in a position right now to divorce you. I don't want to. Okay? Right now I'm gonna focus on my healing. I'm gonna focus on our kids. I hope you're gonna be investing in our kids too. I hope you're gonna be investing in your healing. And then perhaps we could see what happens down the road.
And there's a men's betrayed partner group on Tuesday nights. I put that in the Sunday night group is mixed gender, and that work group for betrayed partners, I put the information about that in the chat too. So lots of resources. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, Dr. Eddie, is I'm the addicted partner that caused all the hurt with my second wife and her immediate family. My acting out, which occurred 11 months ago and involved my adult stepdaughter, has severely damaged my wife, her immediate family, as well as my own family. I am therapeutically separated from my wife and ostracized from my wife's family. My wife and stepdaughter have indicated they are willing to forgive, but the kids in the tribe have indicated that there's no forgiveness. Any advice?
You go to where there's an opening. Okay? So if your wife and your stepdaughter are saying, okay, we're open to perhaps forgiving, what needs to be done in order for that to happen? Okay? This other part of the family, they're saying no, no, that is not where your focus should be. Focus should be on here. Because let's say you get to a point where your wife says, you know what? Okay, I think you've changed. Right? Again, it's only been 11 months, right? But I think you've changed and I'm willing to accept you back. Part of her role then would be to be able to tell the rest of the family, all right, if they're sitting here saying, what's the matter with you? Are you stupid? Blah, 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 blah. To say, hey, this is my decision. It's what I want to do. All right. I'm 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 gonna bring him back in. All right. That's what I want. Now, if you want to try to work together, that maybe we could try to rebuild this family. If not, then understand you have your own boundaries for it. So again, don't focus on the rest of the family. Focus on your wife and your stepdaughter and your healing to see what can happen there.
Yeah, that it's very complicated, and I'm yeah, I'm also thinking I'm kind of surprised that the stepdaughter is not also ostracized. So
But there's something there too. I don't know what that is.
I know, yeah, yeah, okay,
Yeah, I could jump there and we could go way down a rabbit hole,
yeah,
because that looks like it's anyway. Let's move
yes,
on.
yes. When the unfaithful left, I went into a deep crisis and managed somehow. I really wanted to be alone for a long time to get my own life and heal my traumas, but never I thought that the unfaithful would come humble. It's been a while now, but this thought is constantly in my mind that I made a mistake back then. Even though he treats me good, I don't want to lose myself or my life again. Is that strange? Also, I have symptoms back from before. So what I'm reading in this is, well, you probably get it too, but I'm thinking it feels like wondering if I made a mistake in separating. Is that what you're picking up on?
That's what I'm picking up on.
Okay.
Well, it said the unfaithful left, all right,
Right.
and now he's trying to come back, but
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha.
I don't think M has taken him back yet, all right? Because he was
Yes, yeah,
afraid.
because I want to, I don't want to lose myself. Yeah,
Right. I
so
don't want to lose
yeah,
myself or my
yeah.
life again. Okay.
I think we're
Well,
I think we're
yeah.
tracking.
So one, is this strange? No, it's not strange at all. I mean, I call this the stupid girl syndrome. You don't want to suffer from stupid girl syndrome. Like, oh, what? I brought him back. What am I, an idiot? What if he's treating you well? Excellent. Okay. Time, consistency. That's what you need right now. You need to see this play out. He's come back with humbleness. Good, good. But it needs to be demonstrated over time. He needs to demonstrate what else has changed within him. What has he learned about himself that now makes him humble? Okay, what has evolved? That's what you want to know. Those are the questions you want to be asking him. Okay, what makes you different? Now, you may get great answers, you may see great results, but there may be a part of you that just say, no, you know what? I just can't. I can't go back there again. That's okay. It's okay. You don't have to go back. All right. That's what you're saying. I had a lot of symptoms from before. And what that is, your anxiety is increasing again. Your anxiety probably went down somewhat and now it's coming back. And it's all be what if, what if, what if. And the fear and the worry and the uncertainty. You have to make a decision. And again, I don't know what that's going to be. You have to make a decision. And whether it's like, you know what? Let me just let this play out, go very slow, put nothing, no expectations on it, and see where it all falls. Or just, you know what? Hey, it was great. I'm glad you found a new life for yourself, but it can't be with me. You have that option also. So again, but be true to yourself. All right. The symptoms are back. We got to bring those symptoms back down again. All right. And therefore, maybe if you need more of a break from him, if you need kind of distance a little bit more, maybe that's what you need. Maybe it's a little bit overwhelming because now you're like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What you do is continue to take care of yourself. That's what you do.
Yeah, and I was thinking, and there's no time frames on this, but recovery, if we're doing the work, is like a 2 to 5 year process. So if this is like, okay, he's treating you good, but it's been a couple of months, more time. Dr. Eddie earlier said slow everything down, and one of our previous webinars, they said if it's a good idea today, it'll be a good idea to, tomorrow or next week or whatever, so just taking the time to go, okay, what do I need to do? But I think your body is really telling you some stuff
Yes,
too of what you need to do to take care of you. Listen to your body. Don't get into oh, I should have done whatever, shoulda, coulda,
that
woulda, whatever,
that is wonderful, wonderful advice, Darren.
Okay, so the next question, betrayed partner 3 months after discovery, but there were previous discoveries over the years. It seems like this time is different. He is working the steps. He is in weekly therapy. We are checking in regularly to discuss needs, state of the relationship, working, reading books, etc. He is honest with me now about things he knows would upset me, forthcoming about triggers, inner circle behaviors, etc. He is learning to respond, react differently, like model recovery. But our entire relationship is under a shroud of his addiction, and he was acting out in some capacity, most, if not all, of the relationship. Based on what I can see, he's doing the work. But part of me is still skeptical about being hopeful. What am I supposed to look for? Can I really believe my eyes? I'm sorry, you're 3 months. Yeah, thank you. 3 months in.
No, I'm not believing my eyes at 3 months. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that he's not being sincere, but you don't have enough data. You need more data. You need, I mean, and you said that there were other discoveries over the years. Something's been going on over time. You need at least 18 months, if not 2 years, 2.5 years of data before you can sit there and say, oh, okay, different. He's different. He's somewhat different now, which is okay. I'm glad. I hope it's like that. But you should stop. You're running. Okay? You can't. You got to stop. You got to take it a day at a time. You have to take it one day at a time. It'll be interesting as you slow down on that. What happens to him? And does he start to get anxious about, hey, how come you're not, like falling all over me because of what I've done and how good I am and what I'm. He's looking for that pat on the back. He should not want a pat on the back. I'm not saying he is because I don't know that, but if he is looking for it, he should not want one. Because this is what I should have been doing with you from the very day that we met. Right? This is not like, oh, wow, look at me. That's not what it is. So yes, and your entire relationship is going to be really focused a lot on addiction. All right. I would like to take out the word entire because I think you need to, again, it's something we've been talking about from the moment we started talking today. You need to carve out time for you and your self-care, doing what you need for your life. Because if not, addiction could swallow you up, and recovery can swallow you up. We don't want that. So,
Well, and I was thinking, there's a reason why we recommend 90 meetings in 90 days for 12 step, because that just sets a little foundation. That is not like, oh, and then you're cured and magically all better. So I can understand, like you talked about the shroud, yeah, it's a cloud hanging over and there's still grief work for you. Like this person has, told you before and had other discoveries and all this. And so, yeah, the proof is in the pudding. It'll be, let's see what he's willing to do. And, in 18 months, like, is he still doing the work that he needs to do so that it isn't like, well, I did my 12 steps and now I'm all better. No, this is a lifelong journey.
it is. Where do all these
Okay.
questions come from?
I know. I was going to say we have time for one more, and
We
then
have time
I'll
for
capture them for another
okay.
time.
Yeah.
Somebody said they bought your book and they were
Well,
glad
and
you're
I'm
out,
not
and I'm like,
complaining about the questions. It's just
no,
like
no,
there
no,
weren't
no.
that many.
I know. I know. I was just like, we're not going to get to them all. So, okay. Thank you for recommending a coach for my SAPA husband. It's the only thing that got him through and starting on recovery. I'm aware that my husband chose me because I am like his mother, who his child issues are centered around. Is there hope for our 30 plus year marriage, or will I have to, oh, wow, will I have to dramatically change to be different than his mother in order for our relationship to continue?
No,
Wow.
you
Wow. What a question.
it's a great question. You do not need to change
Yes.
it all. You don't need to change it all. The problem's not you. The problem is him and the issues he had with his mother, which again, he's projecting upon you. All right. Now, will I add? Yes, I will. Do you want to soften things? Maybe. I don't know. You might at some point. If you feel like there's things I do that trigger him with that, do I want to soften it? Maybe. But the bigger issue is him resolving what he feels about his mom and understanding. Remember what I said before? I said, what happens is you're triggering him, which you are, because you remind him of mom or an behavior, but your emotion, tonality, whatever it is, which again, not your fault, it's just what it is. And mom comes into the room and he has to get mom out of the room. Not you. He has to get mom out of the room. So no, we're not looking at you changing. We're looking at him being able to deal with the mom issue in a healthy way, in a good way, so that he looks at you as his wife and not his mother. That's what he sees. You need to see that. And that, again, is on him.
Yeah, I was like, I can't imagine. And I'm sorry for the partner that they even think I need to change so I'm not like his mother. Like,
I,
no.
I've seen this before. I've seen this a number of times. It's like, oh, I remind him of so and so, whatever. So do I need to? Like, no, that's not what we need to do. Now, again, understanding what you could do is when he comes at you because he's been triggered because of mom, you can just say, you know what? Your mother's in the room. Walk away.
Yeah.
Your mother's in the room. Walk away.
Yeah.
That's it. You get that, then it's like, oh, okay. You got to get your kid under control. You're the
Yeah.
child acting up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great
that.
answer. Yes. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Watch
I'm
the
sorry we couldn't
schedule,
get to the
order the
rest of the
book.
questions. I mean, I'm
No,
sorry we couldn't get to the rest of the questions, but
no, we always run out of time. It's
we
like we always run out of
covered
time.
a lot. We covered a lot.
We
Um,
did, and great stuff.
yeah, I wanted you to pain field next time. So you folks who heard a little bit about the pain field, we're going to talk more about that. I may even have a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, or what. We're going to talk a lot about her pain point and making sure how do you identify that. We'll give them a little bit of a quiz with that stuff. So.
That'll be great, and then that'll be the new foundation for your next book.
I'm not writing any more books, Tammy. I wrote you 6 books.
Yeah, I know, no, but you will. Every author says this. I'm not writing any more books, and then they go, I just can't help myself. I need to write this book. So you can take a break because you just have a new book out. But I'm going to keep bugging you about that.
Happy birthday, Tammy.
You too. Bye. Bye, everyone.